The number one consequence is liability for acts of the partners done after the dissolution. For this, Section 45 gives the answer. This section provides that despite dissolution, the partners cannot escape their liability to third parties for acts done even thereafter unless public notice of dissolution is given. These provisions emphasize the necessity of giving a public notice before a partner could terminate his future liability, whether it is a case of dissolution, retirement, or expulsion. The second consequence is rights of the partners to have business wound up after dissolution, and Section 46 of the Indian Partnership Act speaks about it. On the dissolution of a firm, every partner or his representative is entitled, as against all the other partners or their representatives, to have the property of the firm applied in the payment of the debts and the liabilities of the firm, and to have the surplus distributed among the partners or their representatives according to their rights. The third type of consequence is continuing authority of partners for the purpose of winding up, that is enshrined in Section 47 of the Act. After the dissolution of a firm, the authority of each partner to bind the firm and the other mutual rights and the obligations of the partners continue notwithstanding the dissolution, so far as may be necessary to wind up the affair of the firm and to complete transactions that began but unfinished at the time of the dissolution, but not otherwise. This section provides that the firm is in no case bound by acts of a partner who has been adjudicated as insolvent, but this provision does not affect the liability of any person who has, after the adjudication, represented himself or knowingly permitted himself to be represented as a partner of the insolvent. The fourth consequence is mode of settlement of accounts between the partners. That is Section 48 of Indian Partnership Act. In settling the accounts of a firm after dissolution, the following rules shall, subject to agreement by the partners, be observed. Number 1, deficiencies of capital. When a partnership is dissolved and after the debts to the third parties have been paid and advances made by a partner have been repaid, the assets are insufficient to repay each partner his capital in full. Any deficiencies must be borne by the partners in the same proportion as the profits would have been divided. The second norm is the assets of a firm are to be applied in paying when there is joint debts to the third parties. Second is advances as distinguished from capital of each partner. Third, to each partner what is due from the firm to him in respect of the capital. In after the above payments are made, there is surplus. That surplus is to be divided in the proportion. In the case of novel versus novel, A and B, who were trade partners, they were acted as a partners, and it is agreed that profits should be shared and losses borne equally. On the dissolution, it is found that A has advanced more capital than B to the extent of rupees 1900. The net assets were only rupees 1400. There is thus a deficiency of capital to the extent of rupees 500. Under subsection A of this section, both the partners must contribute in the proportion in which they have agreed to share profits, that is equally. Therefore, B should pay to A a sum of rupees 250. The next is payment of firm debts and of separate debts. This consequence is enshrined under Section 49 of the Indian Partnership Act, where there are joint debts due from the firm and also separate debts due from any partner. The property of the firm shall be applied in the first instance in payment of the debts of the firm, and if there is any surplus, then the share of each partner shall be applied in payment of his separate debts or paid to him. The separate property of any partner shall be applied first in the payment of his separate debts, and the surplus, if any, in the payment of the debts of the firm.